Yeah. Bing bong! Hey guys, what's going on?
Okay.
What's up?
Hang on. I need to tweet it again. I'm just kidding. So apparently I sent out the tweet 3 times. Cool.
Well, the first one's Happy International.
Yeah,
Tabletop Day.
It's not International Tabletop Day. It's International Tabletop Day. So I had to fix it and then retweet it. So that's why. Well, hey guys, welcome. K-Mango's in the chat. My mom's in the chat. Good to see you all. Don't adjust your television screen. That is not Tom and Kevin. They're gone. They quit. Not really, but they're gone for the day. And we have some special guests with us today. We have a very exciting episode of the CineBoiz podcast, and we'll get into that. But if you don't know, this is the 102nd episode of the CineBoiz podcast. We are part of the Cork Bats podcast network, and we're the CineBoiz, movie, TV, gaming, entertainment branch of Cork Bats. If you don't know what Cork Bats is, be sure to follow them on social media and visit corkbats.com. Social media is at Cork Bats on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, again, corkbats.com. Check out all of your favorite Cork Bats content, including movie reviews from us, which we don't have a new one this week. So we still have our Top Gun Maverick one up. You can go read that if you haven't seen the movie yet. Go check it out. The movie's awesome. And then we should have a new one next week for Jurassic World Dominion. I was thinking about writing one for Crimes of the Future, but I feel like Cork Bats readers are probably not the demographic for David Cronenberg movies.
Well, Drew shot me down on seeing it in theaters yesterday. So our rep is dying as well with people not too pumped about seeing Crimes of the Future. But
so it's got like a 78, 79% on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah.
Okay. So not horrible.
No, not bad at all.
But is it worth seeing if you know there's a chance you might be like in a theater? Like, that's my thing is, like, I kind of want to go see it. I don't want to necessarily go to the theater and be grossed out. I'd rather watch it at home so I can just be like, okay, I'm just going to turn this off.
Right.
That's kind of how I feel. I'm not a fan of body horror.
Me neither.
And one of the terms thrown out around this movie was surgery sex.
Yep.
So, maybe it's a watch at home for me.
These are all selling points, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, Billy.
You like Grinding Nemo, don't you?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Love it.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna wait for Crimes of the Future. I am intrigued, but I'm also like, there is that chance that I'm really gonna be, have a bad taste in my mouth and want to stop watching it. So, yeah. So, guys, happy International Tabletop Day to all who celebrate. And now I think that means tabletop gaming, like not just tabletops.
Got it.
Because I was going to say, who are you to define a table as a tabletop? What if it defines itself as a chair? Like, you can sit on tabletops. What if it's actually a chair and we've just been mislabeling it this whole time?
That's fair. I
remember you tried to sell a table at one point, and I was like, I think that's a chair. So
right. Yeah.
Mom's playing chess, not checkers here.
Right. Always.
K-Mingo says TTRPGs. Yes, I think that's what they're talking about, are like tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons. Which, like,
anybody been Dungeons and Dragons person? I've never played.
Me neither.
No.
Would I say that I'm not intrigued? No. Like, there is part of me that's like, I kind of want to try it.
Here's what's crazy to me is, like, not necessarily the playing of it, but the person who's like the leader and having to tell that story and weave it in based off of like dice roll and stuff like that. That's like insane to me.
That'd be fun.
Have that type of mind and to be able to like grip people like that.
That's what I would want to do, man. That's like the best part in my opinion.
No,
I want to be a storyteller.
I want to throw die.
It could be fun to do like maybe not a podcast episode, but like a stream where we did like a Zoom D&D game.
And then we could do what they say in Stranger Things, which is, I really like the saying, we've thrown together.
Yeah. We've thrown together. Yeah.
That's sick. Yeah, that makes it way cooler.
Yeah.
Weird adults in the chat saying body horror boys. Yeah. That sums us up in a T. You got it. So let's get to some housekeeping items first. If you're watching us live on our Twitch page, thank you so much. Please consider following. This is where you can watch us live for podcast recordings. Sometimes we do other stuff, Feel free to hop in, say hello in the chat. If you're new today, looks like we got a decent amount of viewership. If you've never been here, be sure to say hi. We want to say hi back. Following us on Twitch costs you absolutely nothing. and you might be entered to win prizes if you do in the future. So maybe consider that. We're going to try to get 2 new follows today. That's our Twitch goal. All right. If you get 2 new follows, you get a treat. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to follow in order to find out. You can also subscribe to our channel on Twitch if you want. That does cost money unless you do a Prime subscription, which is great. Don't put yourself in financial peril. But if you are interested in supporting us financially, that goes a long way. We really appreciate it. And then, so if you're not watching us live, but you're watching us later on the Corkbats YouTube page, thank you so much. Help us to continue to grow that channel by subscribing, liking this video, etc. Again, costs you absolutely nothing to do that, and it helps Corkbats it helps us out big time with Corkbats. So we'd really appreciate that. And if you're unable to watch us live, and you're unable to watch us later, or you don't want to watch us later, we are a podcast, so you can find us wherever podcasts are found. We are the CineBoiz podcast, part of the Corkbats Podcast Network. Please consider rating, reviewing, following, subscribing. Again, costs you absolutely nothing to do that. It goes a long way for us. And then finally, again, be sure to check out corkbats.com for any movie reviews that we have out, including our most recent one, which is Top Gun Maverick, so check that out. And K Mingo says she plays D&D, could not DM, just along for the ride, and has an original Demogorgon D&D mini from the 80s coming to her soon. That's dedication.
That's what's up.
Yeah. Okay, housekeeping stuff's out of the way. That's my favorite part of the podcast, is just running through all of that so people can find us.
I get like a quick nap in.
Oh, yeah, you meditate and get ready for the real stuff.
I thought people only listen for the housekeeping. I thought that was why people listen.
We should just be a housekeeping podcast where we just talk about where you can find us and then we just end it.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's something there. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it would be a real quick podcast, really easy on a weekly basis to listen to a 5-minute podcast about where to find us, as opposed to an actual podcast. So we'll think about that. But yeah, I'm Kenny. I'm one of the co-hosts of the CineBoiz podcast. Today we are joined by 2 very special guests. Yes, Kevin and Tom could not be here today, so we asked our good friends over at Do You is it Do You or You? How does
Do you like apples?
Do you like
apples?
I knew that. I knew that. It's cool.
Yes.
But it's confusing because our Twitter and
the Twitter.
Instagram
That's it.
Yeah.
Twitter is you like _apples.
Yes, so that always throws me off. But we are joined by our good friends from Do You Like Apples? Yeah, we're really excited to have them here today. They're kind of our friends, but we also kind of don't like them. And we kind of have a rivalry. So you might get to see some drama on stream today or listen to it on the podcast later. So buckle up. But yeah, let's start with our good friend Drew. Drew, how are you today?
I'm great, Kenny. Thanks for having us back.
Yes, it's great to have you both on at the same time because now it's like you can team up against us, whereas in the past we had you each separately and we just teamed up on you. So
And what's good for you is you guys have by far the weakest link with me here on the podcast. So like
Bob,
the odds are in your favor.
We were about to poach you from the CineBoiz because I heard you quit. So we were getting ready to make an offer, a really nice offer, like guaranteed money. Yeah, 5-year max. Yeah, wow. we were going all out.
I would have loved to every week having just written about like Mike or Air Bud or something like that. My style of movie.
Yeah.
My mom says, "Nice to meet you, Drew." And yeah, I mean, if you want to pay Mob, that's like way more than what we're doing. So I wouldn't blame Mob at all if he left for money, because we have none of that currently.
Well, I mean, to be fair, neither Drew or Billy have compared me to Machine Gun Kelly. So,
all right, let's not open that can of worms. Let's not go there. It only leads to bad vibes, and we don't want that today.
I always want bad vibes. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's true. It's good for content. And then Kay says, "We love you, Mob, so don't leave." Okay, so yes, Drew, back to you, my man. Let me ask you this. I always ask all the other guys every week what they're big on, so I'm going to ask you, what are you big on this week, my man?
This week I'm big on Stanley Tucci. And I'm big on Stanley Tucci because he has a show on, I think it's on CNN, called Searching for Italy with Stanley Tucci. And basically the whole show Tucci is half Italian. So the whole show is he just goes to Italy. I think every episode is a different city or region, Rome, Venice, Amalfi Coast. And he just walks around the town, eating great food, meeting people, drinking cocktails and wine. And it's just the life. And Tucci is about the most charming fellow ever. I think he went viral early in the pandemic he was making a Negroni, making a cocktail, and that video went viral. This show is basically that, over like 45 minutes, and it's just him just having a great time. It's great escapist fare if you get depressed about the state of the world or whatever. Just go to Italy with Stanley for an hour, and it's a nice little treat.
Yeah, I have not watched that myself, but my fiance swears by that show, and she tells everybody about it. She absolutely loves it. I don't know why I haven't watched it yet, because it seems right up my alley, because I love those types of shows. Plus, it's Stanley Tucci, who just might be the most charming human being alive.
And I'm not even a big food or travel show person, but Tucci makes it. Italy, I love Italy. So, yeah, if you like any of those things, give it a shot.
Has Emily Blunt made an appearance? Because he's related to the Blunt family now, because he married...
He's married to her sister.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Her sister, Emily Blunt's sister, has been on the show, but I don't believe Emily Blunt has.
Emily or John.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's too bad. Maybe someday.
Next season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool, man. Well, we're glad you're here. We'll be sure to check that out. And then let's move on to Billy of Do You Like Apples? Guys? How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great.
That's
glad
good.
to be on. Yeah, first time to be on with Drew. I've done one solo pod with him, and I think Drew's done one or two as well, but I'm excited.
Well, cool. Well, let me ask you this, Billy. What are you big on?
It's pretty much exactly just like Stanley Tucci. I'm big on refrigerators. Really big on refrigerators because mine broke on Monday.
Okay.
And I just got a working one this morning. So
huge.
Yes, huge. Big fan of refrigerators these days. Had no idea the impact it would have on my daily life, especially after dropping a massive grocery store bill the day before it broke.
Oh.
And then came home, cooked chicken, then looked at the thermostat and it said 60 degrees. So clearly I was very oblivious to what was happening. But yeah, all good now. But things need to be cold, and I'm here for it. So big on refrigerators these days.
It's funny how like you don't care about like certain appliances in your house until you need to get a new one. Right. And then you like somehow become an expert on it. And like you're so excited. I think it might be an age thing, but like you get so excited about buying new appliances. I don't know.
Well, what makes it even better is this was a hand-me-down from a cousin. I think it's from the early 80s. So
the refrigerator?
The refrigerator. So yeah, I did not want to go straight into spending thousands of dollars on a refrigerator. So that's huge downgrade.
Well, that's very frugal of you.
Thank you. Yes.
So this is one where you actually are required to call the freezer an ice box.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I got an ice box next to my refrigerator. So
that is awesome. Yeah. Molly's in the chat, says hi boys. Hi Molly, good to see you. Kay wants to know top or bottom freezer.
Left.
Okay.
Throwing curveballs.
We're talking east west. All right. Yes, I like it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, this
is the content you guys want, right?
No, it is. It absolutely is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's what the people want. This is a pro refrigerator podcast for sure. Yeah. My thing is like if something breaks or I need to get something new, like I have to get it new. And even again, like when it's not like, I feel like what you did was a wise decision because you probably, got it for cheap or for free.
Yep.
And I would be like, yes, it's time to blow $1,200 on a new refrigerator, and I want one with the touch screen.
Right. I think that's where I'm going to go next. But
Kenny, that's so sweet of you to think that a touchscreen refrigerator is just $1,200.
Well, I don't know. I haven't priced them yet, but currently getting ready to get married, looking at registry stuff and all that. All the like smaller appliances we're looking to get, I want to get them all with touchscreens, and I get rebuked. She's like, "No, you don't need a touchscreen on your toaster." And I'm like, "You're wrong."
Yes, you do.
I might be with you on that one.
A touchscreen toaster, they're awesome. Have you ever used one?
I've never used one.
It's amazing. It gives you like every option in the world, like very specific. You just press a button. Yeah, it's great. Okay, Billy. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that.
Of course.
Good luck with the new old fridge. Thank you. And then let's go over. Usually we start with him, but I thought, we have guests today. Let's start with them. But let's go out to the East Coast with our good friend, Mr. Mob. Mob, how are you?
I'm here.
You are here.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Let me ask you this: what are you big on?
I am big on states that do not have toll roads.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So I went to North Carolina last week on a family vacation.
Born and raised up?
Huh?
Born and raised up?
What?
North Carolina.
Yeah.
Born and raised up.
The words
I don't
that
think
are
anybody gets that reference.
I don't.
That bums
The
me out.
song?
Okay. Yes. Continue. You ever heard of P.D. Pablo?
Yeah.
Yeah. North Carolina, born and raised up. Take your shirt off. Spin it around your head, kind of like a helicopter.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Okay. Anyways, continue.
Anyways, I went to the Outer Banks. Even though I told you guys I was on the banks of the muddy Mississippi,
You're
and you
such a
believed
liar.
me. But it was $9 tolls to get in and out of the Outer Banks, and then West Virginia was filled with tolls as well. We ended up paying like a total, I kid you not, of $50 just in tolls the entire trip.
Jeez.
And so I realized that like I love North Carolina. It might be my favorite state. They've got just a bunch of different cool things within it. I got to rank it down a peg now. So I'm in search for a new state. I'm taking, anything anyone will give me. They just can't have toll roads.
Okay. So you are automatically eliminating states from your favorites list based on toll roads.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I mean,
so-
Kansas was already last.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well,
But-
don't come down here. Actually, not too bad on the toll roads unless you're around Austin, and then there's a lot of them. So
Yeah. So, I mean, Texas wouldn't be in.
You got to come back to Missouri, Mob.
Yep.
I know.
No
I
toll
know.
roads here.
We're trying, but gotta go
But
to
our roads
Nashville
aren't very
first.
good, so that's the trade-off.
True.
Yeah. like
True.
the
I think-
2-lane major highway through the middle of the state. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really the
Awesome.
thing is like you grow up your entire life just traveling across the state, not having to pay any sort of tolls. It really hits you when you're on vacation and you're like, wait, I have to stop and give you money just to get to where I'm going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, hey, you know what? I hope you find another state that fills that hole for you. But thank you for sharing that. Mom, guess who is in the chat after a long absence?
I see who's in the chat.
Our good friend Uncut Brody.
Uncut Brody.
Uncut
Oh, yeah.
Brody, good to see you. Is in the chat saying Rotten Tomatoes says Get Out is one of the greatest movies. I watched it and I felt like I was watching Scary Movie 5. You guys rate Rotten Tomatoes over IMDb? Yeah. I typically go with the Rotten Tomatoes score more than I go with the IMDb score.
they're
I feel
all-
like the IMDb score is it fluctuates too much. I'm not a big fan of it.
They're both kind of bullshit, though. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like what
The
you like.
Scary Movie 5. that got me. That really got me.
yeah.
Well,
is he,
if
is he
you're
for real,
reading
by
the
the way? That I feel like I rubbed that off too quickly.
Well,
And-
Uncut Brody is our friend who we haven't seen him since the Oscars. He joined us then, and we got a lot of all caps messages in our chat. So we always feel like he's
lots
yelling.
of question marks.
Yeah, he or she, they. Probably say they. It's probably safer bet. But Uncut Brody, it is good to see you. And yeah, I don't know about Get Out. Felt like Scary Movie 5, but hey, to each their own, man. Appreciate it. My mom says stay out of Austin.
Oh,
Just roasting you right now.
Yeah,
Wow.
okay.
I think that she was talking about me and my disdain for tolls.
Right. And the roads just in general aren't great around Austin, but Austin's great. Okay, moving on. Mob, thank you so much. Well, I guess we're done with that, right? We don't need to talk about anything else.
Whose responsibility is this usually?
This is usually Kevin's responsibility.
Oh,
He gets really aggressive about it.
And then, like, Mob, if Kevin's not there, Mob will just be like, this is dumb and I'm not going to say anything because we should just move on because he likes to be a rebel. I'm going to
Rebel.
share what I'm big on, okay?
Hold on, Kenny. Hold on.
Oh, no, hang on. Kay already asked in the chat. She said, Kenny, what are you big on?
Dang it, Kay.
Yeah.
She
Well,
wins.
I'll tell you what I'm big on, Kay. So it's really not that big of a deal, but I went to the grocery store this morning and I was with Catherine and we were looking for some like stuff because she's got to start studying for some licensing tests for her job, and we're looking for like index cards, stuff like that, study stuff. And there was a lady in the aisle who walks up to us and she goes, "Have you seen any bubble wrap in all of your travels?" And I was like, I don't know who you are. But that is exactly like something I would say to somebody, like just walking through a store. And it just really made my day. And I wanted to be friends with her. She must have been like in her 50s, maybe early 60s. So
what was your answer?
I was like, no, sorry. But then immediately after, I told Catherine, I was like, that was pretty dope that she said it that way. Have you seen any bubble wrap in all of your travels? No, sorry.
It's actually, has gotten to this age and has never seen it and is just concerned that she hadn't seen it her whole life.
Yeah. It was a great moment. And really that just kind of shows how like not exciting my week has been, because that was the highlight of it. So
I don't know. That's like, if you have some random person come up and ask you one of those questions, it's a pretty good highlight.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, guys, we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to take our time. But there's really only one news story I wanted to get to today, because it's really like the only thing I could think about that might be worth talking about. But immediately when I say it, we're going to be like, why are we talking about this? But we got a verdict in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. And I know you were all watching live. You all stopped what you were doing. You stopped working. You turned on the TV to see what was going on. Right?
Oh yeah.
Was that to us?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that was to you guys. Do you guys know what the verdict was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Johnny Depp won big.
Yeah. So good for them. Here's what I'm happy about, in all honesty. I think it's going to be great that we can kind of just forget about both of them as a collective conscience.
I don't know. Has FX signed over the rights to the story yet for the 10-part series?
I think you need to give it a few years. But yeah, I think you're right. It will come. I think maybe give it like 10, 15 years.
And there's about a 50% chance that Johnny Depp plays himself.
Correct. And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Jeez, please no.
Yeah.
So there'll be a documentary in like 1 year probably, and then there'll be the miniseries in like 2 years probably. That's my guess. Fair.
Yeah, I'm just like, they're both terrible. Like, that's how I feel. Like, why don't they just both like go to jail? Like, that's where I was like, I was hoping that the jury would come back with a verdict and be like, yeah, you guys are both miserable. How about you just spend a little bit of time in prison?
This is a defamation trial.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I know. Technically, it's not how the law works, but I would have preferred that outcome.
But this case is so just obnoxious that the whole world is grasped by it, and we're just going to send you to a private island. It's cut in the middle. If you cross the line, you're like zapped, like, a dog collar. And you both just have to stay on this private island and not talk to anyone for a year or two.
Yeah, fair.
That's what I would have done if it were my court.
They should just turn the Jeffrey Epstein Island into like a new Guantanamo, and then we just send celebrities there that we don't want to deal with anymore.
I love that.
What an idea. Jeez.
I mean, yeah. Anyways, that's really the only news story. So if you're excited about that outcome, cool. That's great. More power to you. But yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't want to get too much into news stories this week, because we do have our special guest with us. And really what we want to do, and Mob wasn't happy about this when I told him about it. He said, you telling me we're going to let these guys on our podcast and give them a platform? And I was like, yeah.
We are the simps.
Yeah.
Is this a cuck?
Is this a cuck?
This is what cucking is.
I think it is.
Yeah. But yeah, really what we want to do today is we're going to dip our toes in your space. And, obviously you guys have your newsletter. How about one of you guys, you can fight over it. Why don't you guys just tell us a little bit about what the Do You Like Apples newsletter is all about? Go.
Bill, you go.
All right. Yeah, so 3 years ago, Drew and I came together and felt like we wanted to put together a resource that it was fulfilling for us just to keep movies in the front of our minds, but also cut through all the BS that is trying to find what you're going to watch on a streaming service. So it started off for 3.5 years, being where we just recommended movies that were on streaming, Netflix, Hulu. We expanded it to Criterion and some other smaller ones. But now we've expanded it to where we just recommend a great movie and we hope it's on streaming. But so yeah, we just love talking about movies. Occasionally we'll do a offshoot episode. Drew did a breakdown before, the previously greatest Oscar moment of all time of the play-by-play of Moonlight winning over La La Land and that whole
And we thought it'll never get crazier than this.
No.
Yes, exactly. So,
right?
So yeah, then we'll. I'm trying to think if I've done any like solo shot episodes like that, but yeah. So we've been about 3.5 years, and yeah, our whole thing is just recommending movies and making sure you guys find where you're able to watch it. So
yeah,
it's been a super fun thing. And then CineBoiz came in about 1.5 years in to our reigning of the internet of
yeah,
all the people that we know split down the middle. I know we have some friends with some pretty strong opinions on who they like more. So
right.
It gets pretty heated. But
yeah, we really cut into your market.
yeah,
you
you
did.
really did.
But all
Sorry
the cool
about that.
people do you like apples more? So that's all we care
I think
about.
that's a little much, but okay. Yeah, no. Well, I will say that I do enjoy your guys' newsletter. And I guess before we get into it, where can people find your newsletter or how can they subscribe to it?
So yeah, we do it all through Substack. So just the best way to do it is just go to Google, type in "Do you like apples" on Substack. It's normally the first link, and click on that and throw in your email address, and you'll start getting emails typically Friday. And yeah, it's free. We don't ask you guys to pay at all. And then we're at @YouLikeApples on Twitter and Instagram. So,
and I'm gonna say like one of my favorite things you guys do, completely honestly, is the first of the month. They always tell you what's coming to streaming, and like they're like, hey, this is what's coming this month, and they'll put a date on it if it's coming later. And for me, that's very helpful because like it's basically an aggregate of all of that instead of having to go to like searching what's coming to Netflix, what's coming to Hulu. It's all there in your inbox.
Yes.
Whoa,
I totally agree.
Yeah, I that way better than I did.
Yeah, I like it a lot more than searching what's coming to streaming this month on Google and then having to read through basically an opinion post for somebody I don't care about. And then they get to it where it's like, hey, I know every month or every week I'm going to get something from these guys that's going to kind of save me some time. So we highly recommend it. Uncut Brody in the chat says Johnny Depp is known for Disney movies. LOL, goddamn children's trash. He also says, do you like apples? What is this, a nursery rhyme? Thanks, Uncut Brody.
Uncut Brody is...
He's uncut.
Yeah, he's uncut.
We know that for sure. Well, cool. And no, it's not a nursery rhyme, actually. It's based off of Good Will Hunting. See? Movie knowledge.
That's right. Yeah.
Good work. Yeah. Movie knowledge.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, hey, we thought, since we have you guys here, that we would do some streaming suggestions. So we each picked 2 movies that you can find on streaming. And we're going to talk a little bit about them and then let you know where you can find them. So I've got all of these listed out. So we each have 2, and I figure what we do is we just go one at a time. So we'll start with somebody, you give your 2 suggestions, talk a little bit about them, and then we'll move on to the next person. Unless you guys want to do it a different way. Are we cool with that?
Sounds great.
Okay.
Good with me, yeah.
All right. Well, I think we should start with the professionals, Mob. We'll let them do what they do best first, and then we'll kind of hop in and see if we can do it better. So let's start with Billy. Billy, you had 2 suggestions. What's your first suggestion?
Yeah, my first one is one that is not released yet, but it should be, I forget the exact date, but middle of June. It's Spiderhead, starring Chris Hemsworth. Looks like some type of crime thriller, but the coolest thing is that it's directed by the same director that did Top Gun Maverick. So Joseph Kosinski probably had a batting average of about 0 before he came into Top Gun Maverick, and now he's, I mean, I don't know if you can necessarily say he's the reason Top Gun Maverick is great, but gets me super excited for anything he's going to do in the future because the man can direct an action scene. And
hey, I enjoyed Only the Brave.
Oh, yeah, actually, haven't seen that, so that might be my first time.
The dude likes Miles Teller.
Yeah,
he does.
He really does. He's like his muse.
But yeah, so I'm really excited for that. It's hopefully going to be a big summer movie that hits pretty well. I don't know if it's having a theatrical run. I think it might have like a week one before it hits Netflix. But so yeah, that one looks super interesting, and I'm gonna be there day one when it comes out. Yeah,
it's loaded. We got Chris Hemsworth, Miles Teller, Journey Smollett. Yeah, it looks great. Well, cool.
Chris Hemsworth, your podcast spirit animal.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I think we can say friend of the podcast, Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, check that out. coming in June. I don't know exactly when either, but yes, coming in June to Netflix. So cool. Netflix. And then, Billy, what was your other suggestion?
So yeah, this one was a recent find. It's a kind of a cult classic, but I felt it be very fitting for Pride Month. But it's all called Paris is Burning. Mm-hmm. It's on HBO Max. It's a documentary about this underground, essentially drag community, and with a mixture of trans people and just a big queer underground during the AIDS crisis. And they just put on these massive shows, and a lot of their performances are them just ripping on straight aesthetic. Like they'll dress up like a military person or dress up like a 90s frat bro or whatever, and just like ball out and they're hooting and hollering, and just the way it weaves in and out of that story is just super great. And just a great hangout movie. By the end of it, you'll be jumping up and down, dancing with the people that are dancing on screen. And just kind of sheds light on a group of people that has their own very different culture. And if you have a need for trying to understand that community, this movie is great because it's not preaching anything at you. It's just you living with these people for a couple hours, and it's so much fun, man.
Yeah, it looks fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been around for a bit. It was like what, 88 when it came out?
Yeah, 88. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you can find that on
HBO Max.
HBO Max. Okay, cool. So yeah. Well, there you go. There's Billy's suggestions. Why don't you go check those out? Do yourself a favor. But yeah. Well, thank you, Billy. We appreciate that.
Of course.
And then let's move on to Drew. Drew.
Yeah.
My man. What are your streaming suggestions for all of our viewers and listeners?
Well, my first one, Billy and I were actually texting the other day about a subgenre called Dudes Rock, which is basically just movies that it's just guys being dudes. You know, like we're talking the Ocean's movies, we're talking Dazed and Confused. Billy, help me out with some other good ones. I think Tenet would count recently. That's kind of
Tenet definitely counts. Everybody Wants Some was the sequel it set it off. That's what set it off the text chain of
So this movie is not, you would not immediately think of it as a dudes rock movie, but it's called Master and Commander: The Far Side of the World. It came out in 2003. This is on HBO Max, by the way, HBO and HBO Max. It's Russell Crowe as a captain in the Napoleonic Wars. Paul Bettany is kind of the ship doctor surgeon, and they're just best bros, and they're just sailing the high seas, fighting battleships, looking at nature. And I had never seen this movie until like a few months ago, and I was like, I can't believe I've never seen this. I'm probably gonna love it, and sure enough, I loved it. It's got great action. It's a really smart screenplay too. It's like just really well written. It's got a lot of ideas, and great acting. It's got Russell Crowe at his peak. 2003 is probably about when, after that it kind of gets dicier for him.
That was definitely prime Russell Crowe years.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I remember this one coming out, and I wanted to see it so bad, and then I watched it, and I was like, and it's 2013, so I'm like, what, 13, maybe 12, and I was like, this is like, 2003,
okay.
Right?
2003, yeah.
Say, how old are you, man?
No one knows my age. I'm an ageless wonder. 2003, and I remember watching it thinking, this watch is like reading a history book. But I wonder if I watched it now, if I would have more like appreciation for it. And
watch it again, because I think the same thing. If I had seen it back then, I think I would have thought the same thing. But you can appreciate some of the filmmaking now, and some of the exchanges between the characters, and it's just a really well made. There's supposed to be sequels, I think, because this is like a whole book series, and I don't think it did well enough to get any sequels. But Master and Commander, it's a great seafaring movie if you like movies set on the sea.
Okay.
That's on HBO, and then my other one is Tom Cruise is back in our lives as of last weekend.
Yeah.
With Top Gun Maverick, it's glorious. I think everyone who sees it loves it. I think it's going to make a ton of money this weekend too. So we did an episode on Tom Cruise last week in honor of Top Gun Maverick, and prep for that, I rewatched The Color of Money, which is streaming on Amazon Prime. And this one it's a sequel set like 25 years after the original. The original was The Hustler with Paul Newman, pool movie. And this one is Tom Cruise is kind of in the Paul Newman role in the first movie. So he's kind of the young hotshot pool player. And Paul Newman is the old grizzled veteran trying to teach him things. And it's an interesting watch now, because it's Cruise, right? It's the same year as Top Gun. So he's about to become a huge megastar. And he's done something similar with Top Gun Maverick, where he had a sequel come like decades later from the first movie. So he's kind of in the Paul Newman role now, which I think is interesting. So going back and seeing young Tom Cruise, there's a scene where he's like dancing around a pool table to Werewolves of London, and he's like swinging the pool stick like it's a sword. It's just some of the best cinema you'll ever see. And yeah, it's kind of a half fun sports movie, half like kind of dark character study. It's directed by Scorsese. And I wouldn't say it's not the best Scorsese movie. It's not the best Paul Newman movie. It's not the best Tom Cruise movie, but you put all those three together, you're going to get something pretty solid. Yeah, that's my other one. The Color of Money on Amazon Prime.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mentioned last week on the podcast that we need to get a Color of Money Legacy sequel. So it's like the third in the trilogy with Tom Cruise as the old man.
He's now the old guy.
Who's the young guy? Yeah. Who plays the young guy?
Probably Miles Teller.
He's too old at this point, right?
Timothy Chalamet. Although, speaking of Timmy, when I was watching, I went back and watched Top Gun 1 last weekend after I saw Maverick, and I was like, I feel like Timothy Chalamet is young Tom Cruise. Like, they're kind of similar. You don't think it, but go back and watch the original Top Gun, and I think you'll see it. It's kind of weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did watch the original Top Gun recently, and
you don't see it.
I don't see it. Yes.
Okay, whatever. Cool.
It's an interesting comp. Maybe I just need to rewatch it through that lens, and I'll understand a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
you might see it now that I've said it, but yeah that's what I thought. It was kind of like, oh, I see that. So maybe get young Timmy in there, Color of Money.
I think that'd be a good combo.
They should call it Hustler 3.
Hustler 3.
Kind of like how Rambo was like First Blood, and then Rambo.
That just sounds like a third movie to the Jennifer Lopez classic Hustlers, if you guys saw that.
Oh, so, great movie.
Very, very
fantastic
cool.
movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and get Scorsese to direct it. Although he's not going to get a sick amount of Netflix money anymore to direct it, but
what did they call it? They called it a
Vanity Project.
Vanity Project. My goodness.
Although Mob did have an interesting take.
To be fair, it was Hollywood Reporter that called it a vanity project. If you read the article, nowhere did Netflix say that it was a vanity project.
Right.
It was Hollywood Reporter, and everyone took that clip from the article and applied it to Netflix saying that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean,
but Mob disrespected the Irishman on Twitter, and I want him to apologize.
I won't. So this is how I didn't say it sucked. This is how our text threads go. We were bringing up that article, and Kenny was just like, yeah, but they'll give a boatload of money to Red Notice or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I said, if I were forced to watch either Red Notice or The Irishman, I would pick Red Notice, not because it's a better movie. It's a flaming pile of crap, but I'd save an hour. So that's where I'm coming from. The Irishman, I understand. It's a good movie. I thought it was slow and boring. Slow and boring movies can be good. Yeah. It's just not for me.
That's fair. The way it came off in the text was like Irishman is slow and boring, and then no other like elaborating on that. So it made
that's exactly what I said. The Irishman is slow and boring. I didn't say anything else.
Yeah. So it came off a little differently. Like, yeah, it's slow and boring, but slow and boring can be good. Yeah. I've seen, and you asked on Twitter, has anybody seen Irishman twice? I would like to say proudly yes. I have seen it twice. I've actually seen it 3 times. So I love The Irishman. I think it's fantastic.
So good.
Yeah. But out of solidarity, I'm gonna be on your side here, Mob, because it's us versus them. Drew, how dare you? Well, cool. Check out those Drew suggestions. They are Drew certified. Let's move on to Mob. Mob, you excited to share your suggestions? You ready to see what you can do to go toe to toe with the big boys of streaming suggestions?
Sure.
All right, let's do this.
Why not?
What's your first one?
I picked. So my first one is, it kind of takes actually Well, I was inspired by an element of one of Billy's movies about a movie that's coming to Netflix. And then it's also kind of like one of Drew's movies where it's a sequel like 20 years later. We are getting a new Ryan Gosling movie this year. His first one since First Man, which was 2018. One of my favorite Ryan Gosling movies, Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
You can watch it on Netflix or HBO Max. If I had a recommendation, I would say go back to when it was released and see it in the theaters, because it is one that you absolutely need to watch on the biggest screen possible.
Mm-hmm.
I came away from that movie thinking like, I've never seen something so pretty like on the screen, to be completely honest. And I think one of my, like, I loved Dune, but I was expecting it to look exactly like Blade Runner 2049. And it didn't, and it was different. It didn't need to, but I just loved Blade Runner 2049 so much. A lot in part of the cinematography.
Yeah.
And it did a great job of just following the story, you know, however many years later from Blade Runner. So,
yes, it did a
that's
very
my
good
first
job.
recommendation.
Yeah.
I feel like it didn't do as well as it should have.
No, it did not. That was a big problem with it, is that it was super well made, big budget, but nobody went and saw it, which is a huge bummer.
Yeah.
So sad, because I fully believe, like, my wife hadn't seen it. She still hasn't seen it, and I'm going to watch it with her someday. But I'm like, man, I really wish you could have just gone and seen this on a big screen.
Yeah.
Just the biggest screen possible.
Well, if you ever move to Austin, just know that there's a good chance it will be at Alamo Drafthouse again. So, because they just play whatever they want, and it's awesome. No, I agree. It's such a good movie.
I think it's better than the original. I don't know if that's
I agree.
a hot take, but
I would put it on the same. I wouldn't say it's better. I would put it in the same tier, though. I don't. Yeah, I think they're. I think I felt the same way watching, because the original Blade Runner is one of my favorite movies. And when I saw this, you know, usually if that's the case, you're probably going to be disappointed with the sequel, and I absolutely was not. Like, it was perfect. So I wouldn't put it above it, but I would put it on equal footing for sure.
Dune or Blade Runner?
Dune or Blade Runner? Ooh.
I'm taking Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, yeah.
I think I am too.
Are we talking 80s versions? Yeah. Like, we're talking 82 Blade Runner,
David
84
Lynch's
Dune?
Dune versus Ridley Scott's Blade Runner.
Then it's a pretty easy choice.
Yeah, because that's a very easy answer. It's definitely Dune.
Right.
Have you guys ever seen 84 Dune?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's fantastic in the worst ways, but it's fantastic. Yeah.
It makes no sense. But yeah, I went back and watched it. I read the book, and then I watched the 84 Dune before Dune came out, and I was like, oh, they only have the only place to go here is up. Like, that's the good news. So yeah. And then Mob, what was your other suggestion?
So I got inspired by Blade Runner 2049 when I was thinking about it, because I love Denis Villeneuve.
Mm-hmm.
So my second recommendation is actually Prisoners, which you can watch on Hulu. I think it's one of his more underrated movies. It's Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, and Paul Dano plays this really good, like, creepy dude. It's like a suspense thriller. I remember, I think Kevin and I were actually watching it, and it was a dark room, and my roommate walked in at the very end, and we all jumped because it was just that kind of suspense.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's got like a Fincher vibe to it, but it's Denis Villeneuve. Reminds me a lot of Zodiac in that sense. So I don't know. I would say check that one out if you haven't, because I just feel like it's an underappreciated Villeneuve.
Yeah, it's very, very good. One of his
movie is dark.
Yeah, that's a one-time.
Super dark.
It's a dark guy. Yeah, but it is very good. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it as well. Well, cool. Thank you, Mob. Hey, you stood your ground there, Mob, with these guys, and I appreciate that.
I pick like mainstream films because that's all I can do.
That's fair.
Hey, Prisoner's not so mainstream.
Yeah, not a lot of people.
I don't think many people would know many didn't. So.
And plus, it's about 10 years old, so like almost 10 years old, I think. So it's aged a little bit, so I don't think a lot of people nowadays necessarily might know what it is. So,
and that's one I watched before, like, I was like into, okay, who directed this? Mm-hmm. And then I went back and I was like, oh, that's Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, he has not
like
had a
that and Sicario, two of my. I just love him. Like,
he has not had a miss yet.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
So it's coming.
No, shut up.
Watch Dune 2 be trash.
There's no way.
No, I agree. I think it'll be good. Okay, so that leaves me. I feel special. So I got a couple.
Yeah, because you chose to go last.
Yeah, I know. That is true. That's a very.
But
good
you are
point.
special, Kenny. I'm sorry.
Thanks, man. So I got two, and these are two that like I kind of wasn't sure how I wanted to go, how to approach this week. Because it's like, yeah, on one side it's like I know what the good movies are on streaming. I want to pick something pretty mainstream, but then also I want to impress you guys. So I did a little bit of deep cut, and thought about, okay, what are a couple of movies that I really love that you can happen to find on streaming? The first one is if it's Akira from 1988. Now, look, I'm just gonna go ahead and preface this. I know some of the people in our chat love anime. I'm not a huge anime person. I don't have a lot of like anime that I hold near and dear to my heart. But I think that Akira is probably like the Citizen Kane of anime films. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen it. Anybody?
I haven't seen it.
No, I'm just saying that you can say that, and I can fully believe you because I've never seen any sort of.
Okay. So, I mean, it's kind of like cyberpunk, kind of, it kind of has a Blade Runner-y vibe to it, but it's animated. So it's the only animated movie on this list, too. But I feel like it's one of those movies that I'll go back to every few years and want to watch. It is very, what's the word? Visceral. And engaging. And it's also, it's a little bit confusing, and it's very anime. So there's a lot of like over the topness and, kind of big story elements that you're probably not going to get in other types of films. And the other thing is too, with technology, and this is going to sound really nerdy, but like with technology as we have it now for watching films, watching this movie in a higher frame rate makes it look absolutely amazing. So if you've seen it before, you have a history of watching it, it's usually in 30 frames. And it looks good, but it looks a little choppy. Where now you can watch it in like 60 to 120 frames and it looks super smooth and it's beautiful. So I don't know if there's any other like frame rate nerds out there, but check it out in like 60 frames. It looks really, really good. Maybe 120 if you have the technology. So yeah, and you can find that on Hulu. So if you want to go watch that, check it out.
I think that is Kanye West's favorite movie. I think I heard a story like he would go into the studio and just play that movie on a loop, and people would come and be like, "You're just watching this movie on a loop?" And he's like, "Yeah, this is my favorite movie."
That doesn't surprise me at all.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, they've attempted to like make it like a live action movie several times. I know originally Christopher Nolan was attached to do a version of it, and I think there is currently a version where Taika Waititi's attached to it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But we'll see. It's a big undertaking. I mean, they said that about Dune, though. I mean, they've been saying that about Dune, and they tried it in the 80s, and it sucked, and then they finally got to it, and it's really good now. So, I mean, like, I think you can do it, but the
difference is, like, we just talked about the David Lynch Dune in the 80s. No one really likes it, whereas everyone who sees Akira loves it, right? It's like, it's rated incredibly highly. So it's just tough to top that with a live action version.
Agreed.
Whereas with this version, last year's version of Dune, he was just topping a movie that no one really liked. So it was a more manageable proposition.
Yeah. So I think that there's just a greater chance that even if it's very, very good and very well made, like people are going to hate it because they love the original so much. Kind of like how we all agree Last Jedi is the best Star Wars movie, yet...
Yeah. You got two supporters here with that, Kenny.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't say it's the best Star Wars movie. I'll be clear. I'm just saying that to rile people up.
Best.
But in my opinion...
It's second best.
It's top shelf Star Wars movie. And yes, I would say second best. Yeah. I'm with you on that. Anyways, so check out Akira. It's on Hulu. If you don't like anime, that's okay. I think you will still enjoy it if you like movies. So pretty low bar. But if you don't like movies, you'll probably hate it. And then the other one is I'd forgotten about this one, but I don't know if it recently just got back on Netflix. And I just love movies that are just batshit insane. Like, just literally when you try to explain them to people, you can't, because you have to be like, you just have to see it because there's nothing like it. And my second one is Sorry to Bother You, which is on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Boots Riley's 2018 film, starring Lakeith Stanfield. It's like you try to explain that movie to somebody, and then like that initial premise sounds crazier, and then you have to say like, yeah, and then it gets even crazier than that, and I can't explain that. Like, have you guys seen it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty. I really enjoyed it.
It's so good. It's so funny, and it's so just weird. But maybe like one of my favorite movies of 2018. And it is on Netflix, and I saw it today, and I was like, that's got to be my number 2, because I love those types of movies where I'm just like, yeah, you just got to see it. Like anytime somebody says that to me, I feel like that's going to shoot up the top of my to watch list. So,
depending on the person, true. Like I wouldn't necessarily suggest this one to like, well, my mom, I know she's in the chat, but Mom, you probably won't like this one. Can we commission her to watch it? Because I want to hear some feedback on it.
Oh man, I don't think she could get through it. Like if I'm being honest,
the third act of that movie is
it's so bonkers.
Yeah,
it's so insane. If you like, I remember sitting in the theater in the third act of the movie, being like, if you would have, given me $1 million to describe how this movie is going to end, there's no way I would have gotten it. Like it's so crazy, but it's so great. Well, cool. Those are all of our streaming suggestions. We did it. So you got a handful of movies, everybody. You got 8 movies to check out that are currently on streaming, free to watch if you have the service or if you're using somebody else's login. So be sure to check those out. And then that's pretty much gonna bring us to the end. Mob, you know what I forgot to do?
Look up anniversaries.
I forgot to look up anniversaries and trivia, which I think is okay. I think what we'll do is we'll skip it this week because we're already at an hour pretty much. And then we'll let Tom do a extra special one next week.
If he's
that's
inspired.
More Tom's.
If
that's
he's
Tom's
inspired.
domain, anyways, right?
Yeah, I don't want to step on his toes. If he's inspired, you're right. If he's not inspired, you don't want him doing it because he's just not going to have the passion for it. It's not as fun. But yeah, I think that's going to bring us to the end. So that being said, I do want to thank Drew and Billy for being here with us today. Again, how can we find you guys on Do You Like Apples?
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at YouLike_apples, and then subscribe to the newsletter doyoulikeapples.substack.com. And we're pretty much weekly putting out posts in your inbox, and then we're actually kind of monthly. We're doing a conversation on Spotify Live around. We just pick a topic and we discuss it, like we did last month. We like previewed all the summer movies. Month before, I think we ranked all the Harry Potter movies. So we find a different topic every month, and you'll find information about that on our social channels. But we'll be promoting those upcoming.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I put it in the chat. doyoulikeapples.substack.com, and I checked it, so that link does work. You can click on the link in the chat to subscribe to their newsletter. We appreciate it. And then for us, me and Mob, we're part of the CineBoiz podcast. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at CineBoiz. Be sure to follow Cork Bats on Twitter and Instagram as well at Cork Bats. And then be sure to visit corkbats.com. You can read our reviews there. And then, of course, be sure to like, watch, subscribe, all that stuff. Follow us on Twitch. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Check out our podcast wherever podcasts are found. That's pretty much it. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you being here.
Sweet. Peace out. Thanks, guys.
Bye.